Representing Wallsburg City on the advisory committee. Just a few comments. A lot has already been said, and I don't want to rehash things that we've rehashed many times already. One thing that kind of came to me after the planning committee meeting last Thursday evening, there seems to be a notion that those of us who live in Wallsburg are anti-growth. And I would like to dispel that myth. The reality is that we recognize that some growth is good. In fact, it's critical. Without growth, you tend to wither on the vine. We have no interest in that. Wallsburg City wants to remain viable. We want to remain relevant. And we want to remain the center of what's happening in Wallsburg Valley. We feel like this proposed development breaks that possibility. So that's one thing. There was a comment made by a planning committee member that, as Spencer said, you know, growth in Wasatch County is probably going to double in the next 20 to 30 years. I thought it was 30 years. But does that mean we have to just sit back and not do anything about it? I think your responsibility primarily is to help manage the growth and make sure that it suits the needs of all of the residents of the county, not just a special few. One thing that frightens me as a resident of the city living in the middle of town is that you know, there's been a lot of talk about the second road access, which I think would be marvelous. However, I fear that would probably take many years to develop based on property owners all along that bench, all agreeing to it and being willing to give up property, etc. Meanwhile, as homes are built and the increased traffic, or the traffic grows and increases, it poses a particular problem for traffic right through the center of Wallsburg, which really isn't very good right now. Our roads aren't good. As a city, we're looking at trying to appropriate money from any means that we can in the next couple of years, you know, the tune of $1 million. That doesn't sound like much to you guys, I know that. Not on the county level anyway, but believe me, little Wallsburg town, that's a lot of money. And just to improve and restore and manage the roads that we presently have. So that's a serious concern to us all.
That's a lot of money for us.
I didn't mean to minimize it, but when you're talking budgets of millions and millions and millions, and you know our budget is well under $100,000 a year, $1 million is pretty hard to come by. Just some bullet points that I wrote down as I've been kind of mulling this over in my mind. We encourage you and we appeal to you and we hope that you'll be wise in representing all of the residents, not just those who have the means to have grandiose plans. Let's keep things the way they are. Why change? It's worked well for us for 100 years. We'd like to see that continue to work for us. This proposed development would fundamentally change Wallsburg. It would no longer be what Wallsburg is. I know I've heard others of you say Midway used to be like Wallsburg. And I'll bet if you could do anything about it, I'll bet you would. You'd probably go back and do something about it. Now is your chance. Here's your opportunity to help us. You know, water is a concern. We've talked a lot about that. There's a lot of things to consider. I just thank you for your time and your concern, your efforts on behalf of all of us, and I hope that you're wise in your decision making. Thank you.
Hey Boyd, before you go.
Yes, sir.
I realize you're not the mayor, but you're on the council.
Well, I am.
Let me ask you a question.
The mayor's right here.
Do you have a question for the mayor?
Maybe not. Not suggesting my vote goes either anyway. If you guys would, as a city, would annex some and deal with them, we wouldn't have to. Why not?
You know what? Let me address that. I've been on and off the council a couple of times in the past, probably 15 years. During the times that I've been on the council, there were only 2 annexation requests that I recall. One was for the new church area, to incorporate that in its entirety into the Wallsburg County boundaries. We approved that. The other request was one made by Mike Nelson and his brother to annex that area around where the church is. And personally, I thought it was a nice little development. We would have had about 13 homes. I forget how many acres.
9 lots.
Nine lots.
6 home sites and 90-acre remaining.
Okay.
So 6.
I thought that was a good plan, but the thing that scared me to death, and to this day, I'll argue with Mike because I remember it differently. But the thing that I think frightened us the most was the concern of providing the infrastructure. Now, they had agreed as part of that plan to do the groundwork, the water line and et cetera and so forth. The problem was the continued supply of water. And my recollection is that they were covering the first year, and then after that it fell on Wallsburg to continue to provide that. And the problem is, we're already buying water from Jordanelle Reservoir because we can't pump enough. We don't have enough water rights to pump enough. And so that would have further impacted the residents of Wallsburg. So, you know, I can't say why that kind of annexation hasn't happened in the past, but I do remember from that one instance, that was a major concern for us.
I remember when it happened, and it was a departure because you were putting houses above the ditch and a few things that hadn't happened in the past. But that said, my point is still, all we've talked about tonight is expansion of facilities, which if Wallsburg does it, the district's not there, anything's not there. And I'm not telling you should, but it's a consideration you ought to really look at.
Well, I think from the letter that we wrote and everything else, that's the direction we're headed. We recognize that we can't just sit idly by and hope nothing ever happens, because that's a fallacy. We want to be relevant, we want to be meaningful, and we want to do what we can to preserve what we've got. And so, what point is you all taking? I think we're willing to move that direction. Thank you for bringing it up.
I have one question for you, Boyd.
Yes, sir.
We're in the process of identifying like gathering places throughout the valley. A gathering place would be where the people in the community like to get together and maybe on a Friday night get together and just hang out or do things. Is there a place in Wallsburg, if you were to name one, would there be a gathering place in Wallsburg that we currently have now where people like to get together and just spend time together?
It'd be the Wallsburg Town Hall, formerly the Wallsburg LDS Church House.
Right now it's a town park.
Or the park. I mean, if you're looking for a facility, it'd be the old church. If you're looking for just a gathering place, the city park.
Just a gathering place, a park or a town hall. Great, thank you.
So, and they're both widely used already. They get a lot of use.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Whiting. Any other comments from committee members or the applicant? Yes?
You ought to get up and talk.
Okay.
I really wasn't going to get up tonight, but Mike, let me answer your question quickly. We had a fundraiser over there last week. We had a family that had some terrible illnesses. The little community over there, they had an auction and whatnot. And at that little park, they served 500 meals at that auction supporting this family. I believe that 300 homes and we serve 500 meals. We have lots of gatherings over there, and they're great gatherings.
A lot about your community there.
I'm telling you, that was as great a support as I've ever seen in my life from the community. I wish more of them could have been there. It was fantastic. Some of you gentlemen was the planning commission the other night. Planning Commissioner Hayward got up and, I don't know whether to call it a pep talk or a little history of what he told us a little bit about developers and whatnot. And at the end of his talk, he said, when we write our zoning ordinances and our codes and put these together, we take ordinary people and they write these up, and they're thinking about the ordinary community and the needs of the community and whatnot, and they write all these up and they write a code. And that's what happened when Wasatch County wrote their code. And as you noticed here tonight, we put a lot of work together, and you've seen very little red lines on that board. Isn't it amazing that that many people spend that much time to come up with those few ideas? The reason for that is there's that much wrong with your code. It's a good code. As Commissioner Hayward went on, what happens to our code as a developer comes to town with his hired gun, and he takes that code and he dissects it. And he takes it and he's looking to make the most money he can. He don't look at the intent. He don't look at the community. He looks where that ordinary man that wrote that code put the wrong word in, or this or that. So I think, we've danced around this now for a full year. But I think what it is community members, and especially as planning commission and as county councilman, when you're analyzing these, when they come to you, if you would just say, what was the intent? What was the intent? What is good for that community over there? To me, the last thing in the world that should ever come into consideration is that developer going to make a buck. That should be the last thing. So I say to you, and I think I'm talking for our community, I think I'm talking for the committee, we need to get back to the intent. You have got a good code. You've got a staff that keeps it up to date. If there's any corrections they work, they keep it. A good staff. But just analyze the intent. Thank you.
Okay, any other committee members or comments from the applicant? Bert?